Yes guys, my name is Junaid. I'm a second year medical student studying at Newcastle University and I'm on the undergraduate medicine course. So to be honest, I've been wanting to make YouTube videos for quite a while now, but I've only just sort of talked myself into it. So I hope to just have some fun with it and see where this whole thing goes. So I want to make videos that give tips and advice for medical students, videos on how to get into medical school, and also just just to share my own experiences and document the rest of my journey at med school. So yeah, that's it really. So a bit about me. I'm 20 years old. My background is Pakistani Kashmiri, and I'm from Bolton, which is a town in the northwest of England. I enjoy going to the gym, taking photos. So I've got a sort of a mini photography page on Instagram, so you can check that out. And I used to do Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu before COVID, but yeah, I've not been able to get back to that since. So yeah, let's just get to the video. So I guess I can kick things off by saying I haven't always wanted to be a doctor. As a kid, I wanted to be a lawyer, and it's because my uncle's a lawyer and I've always sort of looked up to him. But I think it was in around year 8 of secondary school when I started to really enjoy science, and that's when I thought, I could be a doctor for the first time. At the time, all I knew was doctors seemed kind of cool, and that's what I want to do with my life. So I remember over the years, I started to educate myself a bit more on what it meant to be a doctor. And I remember actually one time I went into the GP for a routine visit, and I started questioning the GP on her job and whether she liked it and all that stuff. And it's just because I never really had the chance to speak to any doctors, because there's no doctors in my family, and I don't really have any family friends that are doctors, so I try to make the most of my GP visit. So going into year 11, it was pretty much set in my mind that it was medicine or nothing, and that's when I started looking into the whole application side of things for the first time, and that's when it sort of hit me that getting into med school was not easy and that there were a lot of steps in between. So the first thing I did was I looked at the GCSE entry requirements for medical schools in the UK, and I felt like that sort of motivated me to study a bit harder, just to sort of meet those requirements, if not exceed them. And yeah, so for my results I got 3 A stars, 4 A's, 2 B's and 2 C's. And I remember at the time I was really sort of disappointed because I got a C in English language, and that meant that I didn't really meet the entry requirements for a lot of UK medical schools. At the time it really was medicine or nothing. So I remember in my head there were 2 options. So these were, I could either apply to the med schools that accepted the grade C in English language and hope that I got in, or the other option was to apply to medicine abroad. And I knew that I didn't really want to go abroad, so I knew I had to sort of make up for my application in other ways. So when it came to applying to sixth form, I remember specifically applying to a sixth form that churns out medical students and dental students, and it was probably the best decision I made, because in that sixth form I was surrounded by loads of people that wanted to do medicine. In my head I was like, I've got to outwork every single one of these people, and I reckon from day one it was sort of almost a tunnel vision mentality where I wasn't going to let anything get in my way. So the A levels that I picked were biology, chemistry, maths and further maths, and I ended up dropping further maths anyway after a year, because it was just taking so much of my time. So screw that, got rid of it. But yeah, so first year it goes by pretty well. I joined the medsoc at my sixth form, and from there I was able to sort of learn a bit more about the whole application process and what medical schools really wanted and what they looked for. So around November or December time of first year of sixth form, I applied to volunteer at a care home, and I pretty much stayed there for about a year and a half, up until I just about left for med school. I remember first year I was really sort of super focused, and I reckon so much to the point where it was almost overkill, because I felt like I kept myself to myself. I didn't really speak to people unless I needed to, and I would put in a solid about 4 hours a day when I got home, and yeah, that felt like quite a bit. But then summer comes along, and I ended up getting A's and A stars in my first year, which was pretty much what I needed. So I knew I was doing something right, and then in the summer, that's when I sort of have to put my whole application together. And I remember, at that point I hadn't done any work experience, so I found some work experience on an obs and gynae ward, and let's just say there's a bit of a story there, and I'll cover that in another video. But at that point I had to also write my personal statement, so I reckon I wrote around 15 or 16 different drafts, and it really wasn't perfect, but
it is what it is.
Yeah, so I got my personal statement done, and then we get onto the UK CAT, and that's a beast of an exam. For those of you that don't know what it is, it's an admissions test for entry into med school and dental school, and I think vet schools as well, but I'm not too sure about that. It's now called the UCAT, but back in my day it was the UK CAT. And I remember looking on the student room, trying to find out how people studied for it. And I remember one guy said he studied for it for about 4 months in advance. So I'm there thinking, there's some proper sweats going for this exam. I think I put in about two and a half months of prep into that exam. And the way I did it was I used the UK CAT book and also some free online question banks. And I think it was Medify that I used, but I'm not too sure. The thing with the UK CAT is you have to have your timing on point. My timing was pretty good going into the exam, and I went into the exam with my friend Hassan, so shout out to you, bro. But I'm sitting the exam and my timing's just slipping, and everything sort of goes down the drain. And I remember coming out of the exam with a sort of sinking feeling like I didn't really do enough, and that I guessed too many of my answers. Somehow I got a decent score, and I guess the preparation really sort of paid off. So at this point, all that was left was applying to med schools, and I remember really being methodical about this, because I knew that my GCSE grades weren't the best, so I had to apply based off my strengths. And at the time, I felt like my strengths were my UK CAT grade. Even though it wasn't super high, I sort of put it down as a strength. My personal statement, and also my potential A-level grades. So I remember really sort of begging my teachers to give me 3 A stars for my predicted grades for A-levels, and yeah, so they put that down for me, so that was pretty chill on that side of things. So I remember before I applied, I really sort of wanted to one up everyone else and give myself the best chance of getting in. And the way I did this was I attended conferences where I felt like I got insider tips and tricks into the whole application process. I remember going to a Study Medicine Europe conference, and there I was able to understand the whole studying medicine abroad side of things in case I ever got to that. So that was sort of my backup. I think the conference that really sort of changed things for me was a Getting Into Medicine conference for UK medical schools. I think it was Medify or the Medic portal, but I'm really not sure. But this is where I met Dayub. Funnily enough, he's actually in the year above me at Newcastle now, so I see him around sometimes. So I remember speaking to Dayub at this conference, and he was telling me how he's applying to Newcastle through this widening participation scheme called Partners. So this was the first time I actually heard of such a thing, because up until that point, I thought that everyone had to get into medicine with either 3 A's or A stars, but this was sort of a real game changer because the entry requirements were lowered to ABB, and your boy was definitely going to go for that. The only sort of silver lining was if I was successful at interview and I wanted the reduced ABB offer, I had to put Newcastle down as my firm choice. And yeah, Newcastle seemed like a proper sick uni anyway, so I was down for that. So the med schools I picked were Newcastle, and that was with the partner scheme, Exeter, Plymouth, and Southampton Foundation. Yeah, so I felt like my med school options were fairly safe. I didn't really go for medical schools where I knew I'd have a low chance of getting in. And so yeah, second year of sixth form comes along, and I remember getting my first ever interview. That was, a mad feeling, but that was from Plymouth, and at that point, and I was smashing out the interview questions and really sort of knowing the ins and outs. So when I got my interview, I remember one thing I did was I phoned up the admissions team at Plymouth and really tried getting as much information from them about the whole interview process, and they weren't really that helpful. But I remember one thing I did was I looked at the freedom of information requests for Plymouth medicine interviews, and it was honestly a gold mine. Like, I remember I was able to see how many students were accepted for each year. After interview, I was able to see those students' UK CAT scores, their A-level scores, grades, sorry, and also like it really sort of gave me an insight into how Plymouth scored their whole interview. So I felt like I had a bit of an advantage going in. So I remember really sort of preparing hard for the interview because it was my first one and I didn't want to let the opportunity slip. And I went in there and it was a panel interview, and it went pretty chill. I remember sort of speaking to the interviewers like they were my friends, and I feel like that helped me to remain calm. And at the time I knew that if I was invited to interview, then they must want me to study there. So I just sort of made sure that I didn't say anything that made them think this guy's not right for us. A few weeks after that, I got my offer from Plymouth, and mad feeling. But yeah, like at that point I knew that I had something to work for. So a few days after that, I got interview invitations from Newcastle and Exeter, and those were MMI interviews, so a bit of a different format, where I only had to deal with one person at a time in each station. So I feel like those went even better than the Plymouth interview, and pretty much smashed those because I prepared for them like crazy. And so going into A-levels, I had 3 offers from Plymouth, Newcastle, and Exeter. So I knew the only thing left for me to do was to get my A-level grades, and then your boy would be pretty much on the route to becoming a doctor, and he'd have the bag secured. I remember studying, super hard for A-levels, probably the hardest I've ever studied for anything in my life, and I remember being really stressed as well at the time. I remember sort of studying my entire life, and yeah, like I wasn't gonna let anything distract me during exam season. Got rid of all my distractions. I would study a solid probably about 7 or 8 hours a day. So I set my exams, and the thing with exams is, you think you know how they went, and they can go completely different to how you expect. And I really thought I messed up my biology big time. Yeah, I felt like that was one exam that I just didn't do that well on. Results day comes along, and I didn't sleep the entire night beforehand, and my results were supposed to be released at 7 a.m. I remember checking at 6:59, and suddenly the results popped up, and for some reason I thought it was a bit of a glitch, because why would they pop up a minute beforehand? So then I closed the tab, and then I reopened it after 2 minutes, so 7:01. Checked the student portal, and your boy got 3 A's in biology, chemistry, and maths. That's when I realised that I'd done it, and I'd got into med school, and I'd be a doctor one day. and that was probably, you know, one of the craziest moments of my life. You know, that was a really special feeling, and I remember going to my parents and telling them the good news, and you know, they were super happy for me. Let's just say tears were shed that day by your boy, but yeah, let's not go into that. So I started med school in the September of 2018, and you know, it's been a really interesting experience so far. It's been about 2 years. I'm about to start my third year now, and I've made some amazing friends, you know, some amazing memories, and hopefully more to come in the next 3 years. You know, I hope to keep you guys up to date with everything that goes on, and I hope you guys enjoyed that little video of how I got into med school. If you enjoyed it, then drop a cheeky like for your boy, and subscribe to support the new channel, and I hope to see you guys in the next one. Take care.